It is 7 o'clock, and I'm going to call this meeting of the Scappoose Planning Commission to order. Roll call.
Harlow Burnwald.
Ty Bailey.
Shoemaker.
Scott Jensen.
Peter Bernhard.
Next up is approval of minutes. Did anybody have any comments on the minutes? Okay. Entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve minutes.
Second.
Right. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as written. Is there any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, I'll call the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Citizen input. All right. This is for anything that's, you can input on anything that's not on the agenda tonight. If you want to, yeah. Anything that's not on the agenda. Anybody want to speak? Okay. Seeing none, we will move on to new business. Docket SB1-23. David Weekly Homes LLC has requested approval of an application for tentative subdivision plat approval of Huser Estates? Huser Estates. SB1-23 to subdivide 8.31 acres of land located west of Southwest Keys Road, north Southwest Huser Lane, and south of Southwest JP West Road. Further described as Columbia County Assessor Map Number 3211-DA-01600 to create 37 lots in low-density residential R1 zoning district. This will be a limited land use decision, and so there will be no public testimony and comments. And with that, I am going to open up the hearing. I have a script for this. I am calling this public hearing to order to consider an application for tentative subdivision plat approval. Procedure of this hearing will follow a strict format. Testimony and evidence must address the criteria that apply to the decision as described in the staff report, or to the criteria the person testifying believes to apply to the decision. Limited land use decisions do not take verbal public testimony because they do not require interpretations or the exercise of policy or legal judgment. Any written comments shall be included in the record. Only staff, the applicant, and the Planning Commission will have an opportunity to speak. There will be no audience demonstration or other conduct which would be disrupting to the hearing. Does any Planning Commission member wish to declare any ex parte contacts or conflicts of interest regarding this matter? Okay. Does any party wish to challenge any commissioner's impartiality or legal capacity to participate in this matter? Order of the hearing will be the staff report, then the applicant's presentation, then a staff response. Thereafter, the hearing will be closed for consideration of the matter by the commission. And we will be making a decision, and it is appealable to the city council. That, take it away.
All right, thank you. Good evening, commissioners. Thank you for being here tonight to consider this application. So I'll be going over the revised staff report tonight. Everyone should have received a copy via email earlier, and then also a printed copy. We do also have the recently added exhibits for you as well. The remainder of the exhibits, of course, are with the original staff report. So as usual, I will start by going over the observations section of the staff report. Then I'll provide details on where the relevant approval criteria and findings can be found within the staff report. And then next, we will go over staff's recommendation. And last, the conditions of approval. So beginning on page 2 of the revised staff report, the subject site is approximately 8.31 acres. It's currently addressed as 52391 Southwest Keys Road. The property is, well, let me back up. The site currently contains a single family home, cattle shelter, barn, a few different storage sheds, fencing, and landscaping. So the single family home and one outbuilding is proposed to remain. Everything else would be removed in preparation for the development. The property is zone low density residential, which is R1. It's designated suburban residential on the comp plan map, as are all of the surrounding properties. To the west, south, and east of the subject site are single family homes also in the R1 zoning district. And then to the north of the site, beyond JP West Road, is the urban growth boundary, and that area is outside the UGB. That area is zoned rural residential, RR5, by Columbia County. The site slopes slightly from the northwest to southeast. It does not contain any steep slopes, however. It is also not within the floodplain or nor does it have any wetlands on site. Under observations, proposed subdivision street system and right-of-way dedication. Again, the applicant is requesting approval of this application so that they can subdivide the 8.31 acres into 37 single-family residential lots. These would range in size from 6,006 square feet to 26,459 square feet. Tract A and B would be open space areas, and Tract C would support a stormwater facility. Again, the tracts were re-lettered when the applicant requested to do away with the existing Tract B and incorporate that into Lot 1. So again, all references will be to the revised plat, which you have in your packet there. It's the new Exhibit 11. Top of page 3. So lot 33 of the proposed subdivision is the lot that would contain the existing home and the one outbuilding. Again, this lot is large enough to subdivide in the future. Therefore, our code does require that the applicant show how it could be divided in the future, which they have done. There's just conceptual, an idea of what that could look like in the future, and it would work for a 3-lot partition. Have primary access from Southwest JP West and Southwest Keys Road. Also, Southwest Huser Lane is proposed to be extended north through the subdivision. And then the individual lots would have access internally from Huser Lane and then proposed streets A and B. JP West Road and Keys Road are both designated as neighborhood routes in the 2016 Transportation System Plan. They require 60 feet total width of right-of-way. This application depicts the required additional right-of-way dedication of 10 feet along JP West and Keys Road. Under traffic impact analysis and street improvements, the applicant submitted the required transportation impact study, which was completed by Kittleson and Associates. They also submitted a subsequent trip generation update letter, and that was just to account for a discrepancy in the number of lots from the time that they put the first study together to the second one. It was just a difference of a lot or two, I believe, very minor. So the updated study estimated that the proposed 37 lot subdivision would generate 359 weekday daily trips, of which 26 would be during the morning peak hour and 36 would be during the evening peak hour. As required, they did complete the safety analysis within a quarter mile of the subdivision. They looked at site distance, crash data, street lighting, on-site circulation and access, and street connectivity to adjacent parcels. The submitted, I'll just shorten it, TIS, recommended 2 measures of mitigation. First, it recommended the applicant install stop signs, which again would be facing inward so that folks before they enter Keys or JP West would need to stop. And then second, a general recommendation that landscaping above ground utilities and signage is located and maintained on the site so that it's preserving adequate intersection sight distance for for vehicle turning movements. These mitigation measures are included in the recommended conditions of approval. Top of page 4, public utility improvements. The applicant again proposes to develop 3 interior streets. These local residential streets are required to have a 54-foot right-of-way. The applicant is required to perform half-street improvements along their frontage to JP West Road and Keys Road. And then where lot 33 has frontage with Keys Road, the applicant is proposing to record a non-remonstrance agreement and an improvement deferral agreement in lieu of street improvements. This is allowed by the development code if a certain set of criteria are met. Those criteria are reviewed in the findings of fact contained in chapter 17.154. The applicant did state in their narrative that the street improvements in that area will take place when lot 33 is partitioned in the future, and that improvement deferral agreement will specify that upon any future partition of that lot, the frontage improvements would be completed. The applicant submitted their preliminary composite utility plan. It illustrates the provision of water, sewer, and stormwater services throughout the subject site, serving every lot in the subdivision. The applicant submitted a preliminary storm drainage report. That's a The applicant proposes that stormwater and surface water from the subdivision be managed within a stormwater facility, which would be located in Tract C. Under street trees and landscaping, the development code does require street trees along all frontages in neighborhoods or even in any development, actually. The applicant has submitted their required street tree planting plan and planting legend. As you can see on there, they are proposing a variety of 99 different types of street trees. And those, of course, have to be trees selected from our approved street tree list. Under public and private agencies and public notice, all required noticing has been met for this application. And Scappoose School District Superintendent responded to the referral, stating they have no objection to the application's approval as submitted. Scappoose Fire District submitted comments attached as Exhibit 8, stating the fire district must approve the location of all fire hydrants and that fire hydrants need to meet current city fire department specifications. And then they additionally noted that if lot 33 is partitioned in the future to create a flag lot, that the home on that flag lot may require sprinklers. Again, we would review that as part of a future partition application. The Columbia County Public Works Department provided comments which are attached as Exhibit 9. These are regarding the road improvements on Keys and JP West Road. And that's because these are county-owned and maintained roads within Scappoose city limits. They stated that the applicant must obtain an access permit for the connection to Keys Road and JP West, as well as a construction permit for work within those right-of-ways. Then, due to the condition and competing projects taking place on Keys Road, the main construction entrance must be off JP West Road. They stated if the applicant needs to use Keys Road during construction, that they may need to overlay the entire road. The applicant will also need to do a full lane restoration, repave the entire lane to the existing painted center line for the new storm system that they'll be installing within Keys Road. Again, these requirements are reflected in the recommended conditions of approval. Top of page 6. The City of Scappoose Public Works Director provided a comment that they do not have any objection to the applicant's approval as submitted, but that additional stormwater conveyance beyond the proposed system may be necessary. We did mail this notice to property owners within 200 feet of the site. We did not have any submitted comments when the report was originally released June 15th. We did receive one public comment after that date, which I'll get to in just a second. So we did get a request from the applicant earlier this week to incorporate Tract B into Lot 1, as I mentioned earlier. There was also a mention of potentially spreading that square footage across any of lots 1 through 8. Staff does not have any issue with that. That's fine. So basically, at the time of final plat approval, staff would reevaluate the size of those lots, ensuring they meet the minimum standards for the R1 zone. And then the applicant did provide a revised preliminary plat, which you have there as Exhibit 11. That shows the enlarged Lot 1 and the renaming of Tract D to Tract B. The conditions of approval and findings have been revised to reflect this request from the applicant, and all of the revised conditions are based off of this updated preliminary plat. So to the public comment, so we did receive one public comment for the release of the staff report, but within the public comment period. The letter was hand delivered to staff June 20th and has been added to the revised staff report as Exhibit 12. The letter outlines Dean and Ann Wright's concerns with the density of the proposed housing, the congestion and condition of nearby streets, lack of sidewalks on nearby streets, and the lack of recreational areas for children. The applicant's representative provided a response to the public comment that is included in your packet and in the record as Exhibit 13. Staff concurs with the applicant's responses. Additionally, I think we all know at this point, limited land use decisions have to be based on evidence that the application is in compliance with the city's development code and our public works design standards. And then obviously the staff report does explain each of those approval criteria and as well as detailed findings as to how the application meets those criteria. Again, that's all we are allowed to consider. And just, I guess, one other thing to note, the letter did not reference any code sections that the application is not in compliance with. Staff spoke with the city attorney about the statement in the Wright's letter that until these improvements are completed, there is clear civil and possibly criminal liability for the city of Scappoose for creating the dangerous situation of excessive automobile traffic and increased risk to children walking to and from play areas. The city attorney stated, I am not aware of any civil or criminal liability created by allowing a subdivision consistent with clear and objective standards found in our code and comp plan. All right, so that concludes the overview of the observations in the staff report. The approval criteria related to right-of-way dedications and improvements can be found in section 17.01.060. The findings are page 7 of the revised staff report. Criteria and findings related to chapter 17.44 R1 low density residential are found on pages 7 through 9. Criteria and findings related to chapter 17.104 street trees can be found on pages 9 through 10. Criteria and findings related to chapter 17.150 subdivisions can be found on pages 10 through 13. Those items related to chapter 17.154 street and utility improvement standards are contained on pages 13 through 28. And lastly, criteria and findings related to procedures for limited land use decisions are found on pages 28 through 30. So if you want to turn to page 30 is staff recommendation. And so based on the findings of fact and the materials submitted by the applicant, staff does recommend that the Planning Commission approve docket SB 1-23. That is subject to the conditions of approval we have included for your consideration. There are 31 of them. We have provided the applicant with an opportunity to review the conditions of approval already. The conditions are all very standard conditions that we would include for all subdivisions, with the exception of a few that would pertain specifically to this site, like the deferral of the frontage improvements for lot 23. Everything else is quite standard. So that concludes my summary of the staff report, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have now, or we could move to the applicant's presentation.
Anybody have any questions?
I do.
Mhm.
When is the street improvement taking place? If they're using, you said they're gonna use Southwest Keys?
For construction, no, JP West.
AP West, okay. And then they're supposed to be doing road improvement. Is that going to be after the lots are partitioned, or is there a timeline?
You mean, are you talking about partitioning of the lots on lot 33 or?
Yeah, so are they waiting to, take care of the road when lot 33 is done? Is that the plan?
So just the frontage on lot 33. There's just a small frontage on lot 33. That portion would not get done as part of the overall subdivision, but at some future date, when it partitions, the rest of the improvements would be done all at once, in conjunction with the internal roads they're putting in, the frontage and JP West. That would be done as part of the development of the subdivision.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff at this time? Right, and I'd ask the applicant to come up and give their presentation, please. Speak very close to the mic.
Yep, I was here not too long ago. Matt Sprague with Pioneer Design Group. I'm representing David Weekly Homes in the Huser Estates subdivision. I also recognize quite a few faces up there tonight. I'm just really glad that I'm back for a vanilla, straightforward subdivision without a plan development, subjective criteria, variances, modifications, or anything like that. So it's been really enjoyable to work on this one. As Lori explained, it's a straightforward R1, 6,000 square foot lot minimum standard subdivision. We meet all of the development code criteria and the public works design standards. I don't have a lot to add. Lori does a very thorough job of describing the project. We did review the conditions of approval and we are in agreement with all of them. So I would be happy to take any questions that you have tonight. Otherwise, I'm not going to extend a long presentation.
Does anybody have questions for the applicant? Go for it.
Yeah. Oh, sure. That's a very good question. So the site, when you first look at it, if you go up there and drive by it, it looks relatively flat, but there's actually quite a bit of fall across the site from east to west. The first thing that we look at doing is providing nice flat home sites without having daylight units. They're much easier for residents to instead of having a 3-story daylight, you have a 2-story standard on a flat lot. So we look at that first. And then we push our grading out to the edges of the lot. What's important also to understand is that the grading that you're seeing in this plan it's a preliminary approval. David Weekly Homes is looking at the product that they're going to be putting on these lots. I know that you look at this grading, it looks like grading is taking up the entire backyard and they're not going to have any backyard. What I know also is that one of David Weekly's requirements is that they provide a minimum of a 15-foot wide flat rear yard before they have any slopes. So as we progress through the engineering design, they're going to be looking at where they may place additional retaining walls, where they may take up grade with foundation walls. So there's a lot of different methods to address getting that flat backyard so you have that backyard space and recreation area for each individual lot. These lots are relatively deep as well, right? And what we show on this plan is the maximum building footprint, but the home is highly unlikely to be the entire depth of that. So there is going to be additional backyard setback area or backyard area just as a result of the home not actually going all the way to the back. One example of how they can address addition, meeting that minimum 15 rear yard flat areas. Take, for example, if you put in 1 4-foot retaining wall that doesn't even require a building permit, that gains you 8 feet of backyard. So those are the things that they'll look at in the final engineering plans in concert with other options such as taking up grade and foundations. They go through that house selection first for each of the lots to kind of finalize that. And we'll be working with the city engineer through that engineering process to finalize that grading. So each home definitely, I know it looks like they're not going to have a rear yard, especially on that center lot on the eastern side, but they are definitely going to have a yard. It's just how it's designed and final, we haven't figured out yet.
Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you very much. Any additional questions for staff? Then if I remember correctly, we will close the hearing and move to discussion. Bruce needs a new bottle of water.
Oh, you can have
Did he
mine.
just catch a fly in his water?
Yeah.
Right in. Don't
Now it is. All right. Now is when we get to deliberate. Anybody have any comments for amongst ourselves at this point? It looked like a fairly really straightforward plan.
The 31, the 31 conditions of.
Yeah.
And as long as the applicant is comfortable with that.
Satellite looked really inky.
Yeah.
You're getting
Oh.
Thanks, Liz.
All right. Well, I suppose if there's no other comments, then I would entertain a motion. A motion to approve docket SB 1-23.
gonna say, motion to approve docket SB 1-23 as written with conditions of.
All right. Is there a second? Come on, Bruce, you got to do one more.
Last night I'll ever see.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
No.
All right, seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Hi.
All those opposed? Okay, passes. Congratulations. Now we move on to item 6, communications calendar check. All right, let's see. Farmers market on Saturday. Uh, Farmers Market, there's July 1st. Monday, the 3rd, council work session at 6, city council at 7. City office is closed on the 4th. Farmers Market on the 8th. The 13th, are we having a planning commission meeting?
No, we won't.
Okay.
Actually don't have anything scheduled for the month of July.
Okay.
And I believe we might have, Liz, I believe they may have canceled the July 3rd council meeting. Yeah, so.
Okay. Then looks like council work session at 6 on the 17th, Monday the 17th, and then followed by city council meeting at 7. Farmers on the 20th, the Economic Development Committee meets at noon, and the Parks and Rec Committee meets at 6. Saturday, the Farmers Market. No commission meeting on the 27th, and the 29th is again Saturday with the Farmers Market. That looks like the calendar to me. Any commissioner comments? I will take a moment to recognize Bruce. Just in a moment.
That's it, it's over. But staff
Yeah.
did a great job as usual. Totally complete.
Yeah.
Hard to find anything.
Sorry.
Usual.
You're still going to get stuck with thank you for 8 years of service. It's been a pleasure having you, and I will miss you. All right. Any other commissioner comments?
Good riddance, they say.
No, you are excellent at seconding things
I'm really good at seconding things.
or taking the prompt to make a motion. No, but seriously, thank you. It's been,
Yeah, where next?
Mhm.
we wonder where you will go next.
Carolyn and I, after she gets rid of that Huser thing. We're gonna do some more fun stuff. Something more interesting. for the
Mhm.
weekends.
Are you implying that the planning commission is not fun?
No. Headache, man.
All right.
We go to budget. Oh, wait
It's only once a year, Bruce. There you go.
a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, don't worry, that's recorded. Any other commissioner comments? Okay, staff comments.
I'll go first real quick. I did give you kind of a project update last time. I don't really have anything particularly new in that arena. I did want to thank Bruce. Thank you so much for your 8 years. We really appreciate it. It's hard to get good people, and you have been here very consistently, and we really appreciate it. Thank you. I also wanted to let you all know that during the July 17th council meeting, the mayor will be recognizing our long-term employees, of which Liz is one of them. So if you all would like to be here when she is recognized, she will be reaching her 20-year milestone this year.
Oh, oh.
Is that
Yep.
is that during the actual council meeting or
Yes,
the work?
during the actual council meeting at the beginning. Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's see. It looks like Chris might have a few updates.
I echo what Lori said. Thanks, Bruce, for all your hard work. Sorry.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I know how challenging it can be to make every meeting and provide input and reading through the packets. I think you might have kind of taken over for me when I stepped down. It's been about that long.
Oh.
Job on that. Yeah, I have a couple of things I can mention, just projects around town you may have noticed. We're doing sidewalks on Havlick right now in preparation for paving on Havlick. So that entire road will be paved from the highway to Old Portland Road. So that'll probably be in about 3 weeks. We're just getting set up for it now. That a part of that paving job also includes Dutch Canyon in front of the bread store, the senior bread store, and the senior thrift store there. All of that will be paved from the highway to Old Portland Road. Also in about 3 weeks. And then the same contractor just completed paving a significant portion of northwest part of town on some of those roads. If you don't get up there, you should check that out. They did a phenomenal job. Yeah, it's nice, huh? Impressive.
SC group.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
they go to town. There was a lot of activity. Some things we have going on, also for streets, we have Maple Street north of the middle school. We're getting ready to do sidewalk and paving infill there to connect First Street to Maple around the new 8-unit, 8-plex. So that'll be nice to have that. It'll provide a little wider area for drop-offs and pickups around the school. We've got East Columbia in front of the PUD substation. That's going out for bid to do sidewalk and paving in front of the substation. And there'll be some work west of that, west of 3rd Street as well, as a part of just creating some sidewalk connectivity. We have waterline projects that are in design for EJ Smith and streets to the east, kind of a network in there as a part of a larger plan to upgrade water lines in that old part of town and then eventually provide a pump station so we can have some redundant infrastructure for our high zone. Also got Oak and Myrtle Street water lines we're doing. They're long blocks. So two roads in southeast part of town. There was an existing 2-inch water line, which isn't really adequate for fire flow. So that'll go to an 8. And then we have a 3 million gallon storage. It's in preliminary design right now for the Keys treatment plant site. It's a big project. It'll take several years. Probably hope to go to construction on it, hopefully sometime next year. I don't know exactly when. And then we've got ongoing upgrades at the sewer treatment plant. That'll be multiple years. That's in design as well. Multiple phases, multiple years. On the private side, we have East Airport Phase 3 and 4 is wrapped up. Probably seen all that. They've got street lights energized. All the infrastructure's in. Finally. Lori and I are working with the consultant and the developer to wrap up all of the last minute items so we can sign the plat on that for at least Phase 3. A part of Phase 4 process with the work on Moore Road, which is north of the airport. They just wrapped up an 18-inch diameter water line all the way around the airport. Now we have 4 miles of looped 18-inch water line, which is significant for the city in terms of infrastructure. And that wrapped up early spring, and now we'll do the road improvements up there. So it'll be storm and street improvements with a sidewalk. So essentially, we'll have about 3 miles of roadway that's essentially brand new with sidewalks. And yeah, that's about it. We've got some other smaller projects, private development projects going on, but those are the highlights. Questions?
Thank you for the update.
Yeah, you bet.
All right. Any last minute comments? Can anybody think of how we can extend Bruce's last meeting?
Should be a record.
Here, look, right here. Now we have this
All right.
very nice.
Well,
Yeah.
with that, I'm going to close the meeting at 7:39. Thank you, everyone, for attending.